The thing is, I know what your strategy is, Hetlers. Every time a Gaylor brings up something Taylor Swift has done that is fruity as hell, your favorite go-to kind of argument is, well, you can't just use this to extrapolate and speculate on her sexuality. In this video, I'm about to destroy that argument. Because sure, in Gaylor lore, there are some aspects of the lore that are speculative. Just like the rest of the lore of interpreting her songs and who they're about, because she usually doesn't say who they're about. But there are some aspects of Gaylor lore that, rather than being speculative, are just queer interpretations of shit she does. And yes, while these are interpretations, there are an assload of them, creating a pattern of the same types of queer themes and interpretations throughout her entire discography. And queer people say, we know queer when we see it, when we feel it. And all of this, a straight person couldn't come up with to bait us. Not only would that be an incredibly arduous task, but it also wouldn't be authentic and it wouldn't feel authentically queer because non-queer people can't tell authentic queer stories well. So without further ado, here is my rather short list of things that Taylor Swift has said and or done that, when interpreted through a queer lens, are pretty darn damning. Number 1, we have the theme of forbidden love / hiding in plain sight / secret affairs and pining that runs through her entire discography. From before she was super famous all the way through present current day, while she was allegedly in long-term relationship that can't be discounted by particular events happening to her at the time. Number 2, the pattern you start to see in how she writes about women or a genderless muse versus how she writes about men. Whenever he pronouns are used, it's very disparaging. Whenever she pronouns are used, it's like, my absolute goddess, you can do no wrong, I want to be you. And then, of course, the genderless pronouns. Her constant use of queer fashion trends in a way that feels authentically queer. The vault songs. Vault tracks that are gay as fuck. Like, why was it in the vault all those years? Was it too gay for the public's eye? Her obsession with references to iconic gay artists or writers of the past. And the line, "And all my heroes die alone." Why? Why is that, Taylor? Why are they alone? Why are you alone? Do you have something in common with them? Songs that were released as bonus tracks or kind of pushed under the radar more that are extremely gay. Also, all her regular songs that are extremely gay. What man's lips are maroon? All the sexy songs being suspiciously sapphic. Go to part 2 for more. This is part 2 of rapid fire Gaylor lore that comes from the perspective of queer interpretation of her work, her visuals, shit that she does. This is not speculative. This is widespread themes throughout her work as a whole. And watch part 1 if you haven't seen it. So we left off at the end of part 1 with me just talking about all of her songs that are fruity AF. Part of that is a smaller trend within that trend of queerness, is a trend of Taylor writing things from a man's perspective. Which, if you think about it, gender swapping is just a really easy way to heteronormatively, in a socially acceptable way, talk about liking girls. Another theme is her pronoun games that she plays, and how often, if you look closely and actually read the lyrics of a song, you'll see that she often uses he pronouns and you pronouns in the same song, and it's like she's talking about 2 different people. One of them is conveniently genderless, though. Her color flagging and just general queer closeting flagging imagery, especially on the Eras tour. Her queer flagging in lyrics specifically. She does it a lot. The ballet hands thing that she does a lot. It's not ballet hands. Her friends, a lot of whom are gay, and like all her openers, especially on the Eras tour, who are gay. That Hayley Kiyoko performance of Curious, that is not something a straight woman would do. listen to Lesbian Jesus and Girl in Red? As Tess has pointed out, Miss Taylor has checked off nearly every queer flag in the book. Or books, rather. It's time to be honest with ourselves. It's time to be unbiased and look at the information in front of us. Hetlers, you can't gaslight us anymore. Who am I to deny the people what they want? Nay, what they need. I heard your calls and I'm here to provide. So without further ado, here is more rapid-fire, non-speculative Gaylor lore. Brief disclaimer, if you haven't watched the other two parts, that the purpose of this series is to cram as much Gaylor lore content into one video and non-speculative content, so just like pattern recognition, things that she does, looking at things through a queer lens, and stacking it all up so that you can see the sheer volume of it that exists, and realize that Gaylors are not pulling this shit out of our asses, which I'm sure you'll still say, but I do what I can. Okay, we are on 14, the number of Taylor's close female friendships that have seemed to end mysteriously out of the blue, or just like in a breakup way. Like, I know friend breakups happen, but this happens to girly pop a lot. Number 15, the way that she describes her friendships with women when she does confirm that that's what she's writing about is suspiciously sapphic. Number 16, the number of her friends who have strongly implied that they are also queer. Number 17, the consistency with which she writes queer themes, as discussed in previous parts, like forbidden love, secret affairs, how consistently those themes stretch back all the way to the beginning of her discography. Number 18, Taylor Swift's, as confirmed by multiple friends, wicked, dirty sense of humor and the kinds of dirty jokes that she makes in her songs. Number 19, all of her tricks and antics, like the bait and switch in the very first night with the pronouns. I have a video on that if you don't know what I'm talking about. Recently, it's been the controversy over, is Dear John actually about John Mayer, or was that just a cover-up the whole time? You can't always trust her, is what I'm saying. Blondie lies. Number 20, the fact that she released Me on Lesbian Visibility Day. Me, out now. Let it sink in. This is the same bitch who uses days for stuff all the time, like the Koi Fish Day and like the National Telling the Truth Day, all the time. Number 21. The moment in Miss Americana where she talks about things that make her her, and she includes gay pride. Excuse me, do you want to explain that one, Tay-Tay? I have one more part coming for y'all tonight, so stay tuned for that in the comments. I'm back again already with more rapid-fire Gaylor lore, where the goal is to include as many bits of queer interpretation aspects of Gaylor lore into one video that it is impossible for Hetlers to say we're making all this shit up in our heads. I mean, they probably will still say it, but they'll look stupid because we have receipts. So far, I filled 4 videos up with this stuff, so it's nothing to sneeze at. Okay, we are on number 22. I don't know about you, but I am feeling 22. I had to dedicate an entire slot to the Bi Pride wig and bracelet from Lover Era because I forgot to include that in the pictures when I talked about her color flagging, and it deserves its moment in the spotlight. Number 23, her recurring constant themes of religion, sin, and guilt. I know queer people are familiar with those ones. Number 24, you'll just have to take my word for this one because I don't really know how to show you receipts easily, but every time she sings a super gay surprise song and suspiciously doesn't like say anything about it beforehand or gives like a very short speech, I'm side-eyeing that. Number 25, all of her recent music videos where she doesn't have a male love interest or ends up alone and there's tons of closeting imagery. You know, the ones that are directed by her, telling her narrative. Number 26. She posted this about Girl in Red on her Instagram story. I mean, Girl in Red. You know, the code that sapphics have amongst each other. Number 27. Just her cat obsession by itself deserves its own number on the list. This video, number 28. The Tims, come on. Number 29. The number of people who she's close with who like casually reference Gaylor. And finally, 30. And I think that this is perhaps the most important one. That all of this exists on the internet. None of it is scrubbed. And despite the fact that Hetlers love to say that Taylor Swift has said she's straight so many times, actually the opposite is true. She has never uttered those words. In all these years she has to fight off the gay allegations, but instead of doing that, she just pours gasoline on the fire. Why would she do that?